My name is Raiden Miller, and for 10 years, I'd measured my life in heat, flavor, and the frantic, beautiful chaos of a professional kitchen. My station was the heart of a high-end French bistro, the sauteur, where I poured everything I had into plating perfection. I was a chef who believed in meticulous planning, 3-month fermentations, all-day reductions, a decade of apprenticeship. My life with Anya Sharma was supposed to be my final, most exquisite creation. 3 months before the day I was supposed to trade my chef's whites for a tuxedo, everything I thought was solid began to curdle. It wasn't a grand, dramatic implosion, but a slow, subtle sabotage. The lie began not with a text, but with a reservation. It was a Tuesday, the 5-year anniversary of the day I'd served Anya a disastrously undercooked steak and somehow charmed her into a second date. I'd booked us a table at the Confluence, the city's toughest reservation, and even negotiated with the chef, a rival, for a tour of the wine cellar. I arrived an hour before her. It's a chef's habit. Early is on time is late. I sat there, watching the silver dome of the cloche glisten under the chandelier. The bread basket went untouched. I waited 30 minutes, then 45. My phone, usually silent during service, was buzzing with work texts, but nothing from her. I texted, "Table's ready. Should I order the bubbly?" Then I called. Once, twice. Her voicemail, a cheerful, automated sound, mocked my rising anxiety. The waiter, a kind-eyed young man named Balthazar, kept topping off my sparkling water with a look that said, "Sorry, chef, your perfect life is sitting alone at a two-top." When she finally called back, 2 hours after our reservation, it was 9:30 p.m. "Raiden, I'm so sorry. I completely lost track of time. This bridal shower planning is insane." Her voice was oddly flat, like a poorly tuned radio frequency. "Bridal shower. Anya, it's a Tuesday. We had the Confluence. Our anniversary." A pause. A too long, cavernous silence. "Oh, God, I'm the worst." I ran into Silas at the gallery opening. You know, Silas, my old professor's assistant. We were just having a drink, going over some art pieces I want for the apartment. I wanted to believe her. I loved Anya for her artistic eye. She managed an upscale gallery downtown. I wanted to believe that the world of high-concept art and high-pressure wedding logistics had simply devoured her evening. Just having a drink. I used to believe that meant a glass of wine and a 30-minute chat. Now, I know it's the garnish on a lie. "You'll make it up to me?" I asked, the words hollow. "Tomorrow. Absolutely. I'll cook you dinner for once," she promised, a bright, manufactured cheer returning to her voice. She came over the next day, not with dinner, but with a new silk scarf and a scent that wasn't our laundry detergent. A subtle, expensive musk. She blamed the scarf on the gallery, the scent on an upscale boutique. The new, restless energy in her eyes, she blamed on stress and the bridezilla moments from her maid of honor, Lena. I was a man who worked with fire. I should have recognized the burning. But I was so deeply in love, I let her excuses be the extinguisher. I wanted the perfect life more than I wanted the truth. The second time, the lie didn't just curdle, it caught fire. It was a Friday, exactly 2 months before the wedding. Anya claimed she was out for a vendor night, meeting with our wedding planner, florist, and band to finalize details. I was fine with it. I had a grueling 16-hour shift planned. I was covering for a sous chef who'd called out, prepping for a massive weekend catering event for a tech billionaire. I was utterly buried in a cloud of flour and simmering broth until 1 o'clock a.m. Exhausted, I drove home to our loft, the one with the spectacular industrial kitchen I'd renovated. I needed my master recipe notebook, The one with all my grandfather's handwritten notes, which I'd accidentally left in my apron pocket. Her car wasn't in the usual spot in the alley. Late night of meetings, I thought, a bitter familiarity in the realization. I climbed the steps, unlocked the door, and went straight to the laundry hamper. The notebook was there, stained with sauce and flour. As I pulled it out, something caught my eye on the steel countertop, her phone. She never left home without it. The screen lit up with a single, brutal notification. It wasn't Lena, the maid of honor. It was Silas. The name was enough to turn the heat in my stomach to glacial ice. The gallery assistant. The one she'd run into on our anniversary. The preview was enough to end a 5-year chapter. That was the best night of my life, eh? See you at the Pinnacle on Sunday. I never snoop. In my world, trust is a bond stronger than any alloy. But the sight of that name, the implication of that text, was like a knife twisting on the counter. I snatched the phone. I knew her code. We didn't have secrets. Or so I believed. The messages were a timeline of betrayal. They weren't just about art and drinks. They went back nearly 7 months. Flirtations that became bold, then explicit. The anniversary night was detailed, not a drink at a gallery, but 3 hours in a suite at the Hotel Alchemist. And the newest one, sent barely an hour ago, can't wait for vendor night to be over. I'm already at the usual spot, room 401 at the Pinnacle. The Pinnacle, a boutique hotel on the water. I knew it. Every chef knew it. It had the best breakfast buffet in the city. The rage that took over me was nothing like the passionate, controlled burn of my kitchen. It was a wildfire. I was shaking so hard the phone rattled in my hand. I walked out, not thinking, not planning, just moving. The drive was a blur of red lights and burning disbelief. I found a parking spot, ran across the lobby, and took the service elevator, another ingrained habit, straight to the 4th floor. The hall was silent, carpeted, suffocating. I stood outside room 401. I didn't knock. I didn't even breathe. I used my chef's card, the ultimate lockpicking tool, a simple, stiffened plastic loyalty card I kept in my wallet, slid it into the latch, and pushed the door open. They didn't hear me. They were too preoccupied with the act of shattering my world. Anya was on the floor-to-ceiling window seat, bathed in the blue light of the city skyline. She was wearing the black lace gown I'd bought her in Paris, the one she said was too beautiful to ever wear, saved for a special occasion. Silas, tall and thin with a look of permanent collegiate smugness, was leaning over her, his hands tangled in her hair. Anya. The sound was a raw, guttural noise that didn't even feel like it came from my own throat. She shrieked, a high-pitched, terrified sound, scrambling to pull the silk sash of the gown up over her chest. Silas stumbled back, falling off the window seat, swearing as he tried to cover himself. I stood in the doorway, my body a roadblock, the white apron I still wore a ghostly banner of my betrayed profession. Raiden, what are you? Her panic was absolute. What am I? The question was a low, dangerous whisper. I'm the fool who was home covered in flour, prepping canapés for our future, while you were here having a vendor night, in the dress I bought you. I pointed at the black lace. A special occasion, right? Was this special, Anya? Was this worth throwing away 5 years? Please, let me explain. It was a mistake. Just a moment of weakness, I swear. A mistake is seasoning a dish twice. A mistake is not a 7-month affair. Weakness. I took a step into the room. No, a mistake is forgetting to buy milk. This was a choice. A daily choice. Every time you answered my call, every time you kissed me goodbye, you were choosing him over me. How long? My voice cracked, raw with a pain that was physical. The truth, Anya. Right now. How long has this been going on? She wrapped her arms around herself, mascara already starting to run. 6 months, she choked out. Just 6 months. It meant nothing. 6 months. Half a year. While I was taking on extra catering gigs to afford the custom ring, while I was drawing up plans for our kitchen renovation. While I was falling asleep next to her, planning our future, she was planning her next visit to room 401. My gaze swung to Silas, who was trying to look both apologetic and superior. "You," I said, my voice completely dead. "You knew she was getting married. You saw the ring. You saw the wedding invitations she left out, didn't you?" Silas actually had the gall to try and shrug. "Look, man, it's complicated. She told me you guys were basically over, just staying together for the apartment." "Lies," Anya screamed. "Don't lie. I told you he was my fiancé. I did." The truth, a weapon finally unleashed, flew between them. The picture was complete. They both knew. They simply didn't care. I felt nothing. No hate, no urge to lash out. Just a profound, sickening emptiness. The annihilation of my world. I walked to the dresser, pulled my simple, titanium wedding band off my finger, and set it next to the room service menu. It looked pathetically small and meaningless. "The wedding's off," I said, a final decree. "The apartment is yours. The catering events are cancelled. We're done." "No." She lunged for me, a desperate, sobbing mess. "Raiden, please. I love you. I'll cut him off. I'll do anything. We can fix this." I gently, but firmly, pushed her hand away. "You don't know what that word means, Anya. You love the life I built. You love the stability I gave you. But you don't love me." I looked at her one last time, trying to find the woman I'd spent 5 years building a dream with, but all I saw was a stranger wearing my broken promise. I hope he was worth it, Anya. I hope the feeling of this room, right now, was worth destroying everything we had. I turned, walked out of room 401, and left the pinnacle. I took the stairs this time, each step a slow, deliberate goodbye to the man I used to be. The next day, I didn't call in sick. I walked into the sautéer at 6 a.m., threw my entire life into the grueling, honest work of the kitchen, and started building a new man from the inside out. I couldn't rebuild a life, but I could rebuild myself. And I knew exactly what I was going to make. Something stronger, sharper, and utterly unforgiving. The days that followed were a blur of steam, salt, and scalding heat. I didn't cry on the cold hotel stairs, but I wept into my work. I threw myself into the kitchen at the sautéer like a man trying to drown himself in effort. Sleep was useless. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the black lace, the blue city light, and the look of pure terror on Anya's face, a face I had once loved more than my own life. I worked 80-hour weeks, fueled by black coffee and a bottomless, silent fury. I took over the catering project for the tech billionaire, a monstrous logistical feat that required designing bespoke menus for 300 people over 5 days. It was a hell I welcomed. Every perfectly sliced vegetable, every precise sauce reduction, every single, brutal hour was a nail in the coffin of the man who believed in fairy tales and forever. My executive chef, Javi Ramos, a man whose own life was a series of volatile passions, noticed the change in me immediately. I was no longer the focused, collaborative sous chef he'd respected. I was a machine of relentless efficiency. "Raiden," Javi said one Tuesday morning, after watching me plate 100 canapés with terrifying speed. "You are cooking like you are trying to burn the kitchen down. But not with passion, with hate." "I'm hitting quota, chef," I said, not looking up. "The Mitchell catering is ahead of schedule." Javi leaned in, his voice dropping. "Hitting quota is for robots, mijo. You are an artist. What happened to the fire, the flavor? You taste your sauce, but you don't feel it. The man I knew lived for the art. This man is just living to avoid his own mind. He was right. But avoiding my mind was the only thing keeping me upright. Anya became a recurring, desperate ghost. She called my work phone 47 times. I blocked her. She showed up at the back door of the sautéer, weeping, claiming she only needed 5 minutes. I had Javi's head pastry chef, Marta, escort her out. She sent texts to my old number, now reactivated and used only for business. Over 200 messages of pleas, promises, and escalating desperation. She told everyone the same lie. She made one stupid mistake, and I, the unforgiving monster, had thrown away our life. The world split. Friends, people I'd trusted like family, chose sides. Some believed the heartbroken artist who threw away his future over one night. They didn't know about the 6 months, the anniversary, the black lace I'd saved 3 months' pay for. Lena, her maid of honor, messaged me, "You can't do this to her, Raiden. She loves you. Forgiveness is the only true ingredient in marriage." Tyler, my oldest friend and chosen best man, was the only one who didn't judge, but he still tried to moderate. "She's a wreck, man. Lost 5 pounds. Says she can't eat. Are you sure you can't just talk to her? Did you see the messages, Tyler? Did you walk into that room? No. Then you don't get a vote." I saw the pity in their eyes, the judgment that I was the cold, heartless chef who prioritized his wounded pride over a woman's weakness. I didn't correct them. Silence was easier than trying to explain the taste of annihilation. My only priority was escape. The loft felt contaminated. The stainless steel kitchen, once our symbol of a perfect future, now felt like a sterile crime scene. I broke the lease, lost the deposit, and sold everything that had a memory attached. The expensive stand mixer she'd given me, the set of Japanese knives we'd picked out together. I left a small box of her personal effects on the doorstep of her sister's apartment. Then, Javi presented the opportunity. "Raiden, I have a friend, Chef Dubois, in Vancouver. He's opening a concept restaurant, hyper-local, farm to table, the real deal. He needs a partner, someone who understands volume but still has the soul of a craftsman. 3-year contract, total relocation, no looking back. You could be the exec sous, ready to take over in a year." I didn't need to think. I needed to vanish. "I'll take it. When do I start?" "He leaves in 2 weeks." I looked out the kitchen window at the bustling city street, the street where I'd planned to spend the rest of my life. Perfect. 2 weeks later, I was gone. I told only Javi and Tyler where I was going. My goodbye to the city was quiet, absolute. I packed 2 suitcases of clothes, my most treasured knives, and my grandfather's recipe book. The rest of my life was a blank page. Vancouver was all glass, steel, and endless rain. It was perfect. I rented a sleek, empty apartment overlooking the water, no view of any skyline I knew, no memories. At the Solstice, Dubois' new restaurant, the work was a demanding, unforgiving master. I embraced it. I worked 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, designing menus that were technically brilliant, seasonally perfect, and utterly devoid of personal emotion. My food was precise, a calculated science. It won critical acclaim. The old Raiden Miller, the one who cooked with joy and a soft smile, died in that hotel room. The new Raiden Miller was forged in the fire of the industrial gas range, refined by bitter herbs and cold reality. I grew harder, sharper. I lost the gentle eagerness that had made me easy to manipulate. My voice became clipped. My instructions were orders, not requests. Women who dated me found the new veneer of success and cold intensity attractive. I dated occasionally, but the rules were simple. no sharing passwords, no staying the night, and absolutely no talk of a future. Forever was the one ingredient I had permanently removed from my life's recipe. 3 years passed. The solstice was a resounding success. I was made executive chef. I was featured in Gourmet Today magazine. I was making more money than I could spend. The old life felt like a bad dream, a discarded apron. I had achieved the professional success I always wanted, but I had sealed off the part of my heart that allowed for real connection. I was steel, impenetrable, and alone. Then, I got the text. It wasn't from Anya. It was from Isabel Moreau, a friend of Javi's who had worked in the city's food scene. She was getting married back in my old city. Raiden, I know it's a long flight, but I'd genuinely love for you to come. You were a huge part of the city's food soul before you left. Plus, the caterer is terrible, and I might need you to save the day. I almost deleted it immediately. Going back felt like walking into a known trap. But then a different thought surfaced. Why should I allow a ghost to claim ownership of an entire city? Why should I hide my success? I was a different man. She was irrelevant. I replied, RSVP, yes. Sending the happy couple a set of custom Japanese knives. Expect me. I booked a first-class ticket, had my tailor in Vancouver craft a new charcoal gray suit, the kind that spoke of effortless power, and flew back. The wedding reception was in a sprawling estate outside the city. I was standing by the champagne bar, observing the room with a detached, professional eye. Tyler found me immediately, his jaw dropping a little. Chef Miller, he whistled, gripping my shoulder. You look like $1,000,000 and taste like single malt. Vancouver agrees with you. It's an honest city, Tyler. That's all I require. And then, I saw her. Across the room, near the dessert table. Anya. She was standing next to Lena, laughing at something, but her eyes were restless, searching. She looked diminished. Her eyes had a tired quality, and the light that used to shine in them was muted. Her gaze swept the room and locked onto me. The laugh died on her lips. She stared, not at me, but at the ghost of me she hadn't seen in 3 years. She saw the Italian suit, the clean lines, the controlled confidence, and the utter, glacial indifference in my expression. I held her gaze for a count of 3. Then, I turned my attention back to my champagne glass, effectively deleting her from the scene. She was just another piece of furniture in the room. Later, she approached me as I was talking to the groom about the disappointing canapés. Raiden. Her voice was soft, hesitant, nothing like the confident laugh I used to know. I finished my thought about the catering. The brioche is stale, sir. A crime. Before slowly turning to face her. My eyes met hers. Anya, I acknowledged, without inflection. Please, can we talk? Just a minute. I've wanted to apologize for 3 years. I know I owe you. I sipped my champagne, letting the silence stretch until it was excruciating. Oh me. I set the glass down. You owe me nothing, Anya. Because I wrote off the debt. What is it you want, exactly? Forgiveness. Hope flickered in her eyes, desperate and needy. Yes. God, yes. I know I don't deserve it, but I need to know you're at peace. I am at peace. And you want forgiveness. I paused, letting the word sink in. Then live without it. You made your choice every day for 6 months. You don't get to feel better now because you finally feel guilty. I am not your absolution, Anya. She grabbed my wrist, a light, pleading touch. I looked down at her hand as if it were a speck of dust I needed to brush off. Please, Raiden. I threw away the best thing that ever happened to me. I know that now. Yes, I said, peeling her fingers off my jacket, my tone utterly calm. You did. And I'm a chef, Anya. I work with food. I don't pick up trash and try to make it valuable again. She recoiled as if I'd thrown a handful of scalding pepper in her face. I'm getting married, she announced suddenly, a desperate, final throw of the dice. In 2 months. To a decent man. But I can't move forward without knowing you've understood that it wasn't about you. It was about my own insecurity. I raised my glass in a toast. Congratulations, I said, my voice smooth as olive oil. I hope he checks your phone. Now, if you'll excuse me, the band is about to start, and I need a better seat. I walked away, leaving her standing alone by the silent, untouched dessert station. I knew she wouldn't follow. The man who had once knelt for her was dead. The man who replaced him was a force she could not touch. I flew back to Vancouver the next morning, leaving behind a wake of stunned faces and unanswered questions. I had achieved what I came for, complete, undeniable detachment. As my plane climbed over the clouds, I looked down at the sprawling coastline of my old city, feeling nothing but the clinical satisfaction of a successful extraction. At the airport, I received a text from an unknown number. Raiden, this is Anya's mother, Helena. Please reconsider. She is not eating, not sleeping. You broke her. She needs you to forgive her. I stared at the screen, a wry, bitter smile touching my lips. Helena, who had smiled across the table at holiday dinners, knowing her daughter was betraying me. Now, she wanted me to play the forgiving savior. I blocked the number without a moment's hesitation. I was celebrating the flight attendant's offer of a morning mimosa with a private toast to the most exquisite ingredient I had acquired, freedom. 6 months later, my life was a symphony of professional success. The Solstice was rated one of the top 5 restaurants in the country. My name was known. I had designed a new kitchen system, the Miller method, that prioritized speed and precision, and I was scheduled to present it at a major culinary conference in New York. I was sitting in my sterile, high-tech office, reviewing blueprints for a new pop-up concept, when my private line rang. It was Tyler. Raiden, did you hear the news? About the halibut shortage? No, I'm insulated from that up here. No, about Anya. Her wedding's off. She called it off 3 weeks ago. I leaned back in my ergonomic chair. Oh, yeah, her fiancé, Graham, the rich businessman, found out. Apparently, someone told him the whole story. Every detail. The 6 months, the pinnacle, the fact that she was seeing Silas on your anniversary. He couldn't handle that she was capable of that level of deceit. He walked. I felt a faint stirring in my chest, but it wasn't triumph. It was annoyance, like a minor burn that didn't require ointment. And you're telling me this because she's completely spiraling. She's asking about you again. Asking if you're seeing anyone, if you're happy. She sees your magazine features, Raiden. She knows what she lost. I rubbed my temples. Tyler, tell her nothing. Tell everyone nothing. That life is over. I was done 3 years ago. Everything since then has just been an echo of the finale. After we hung up, I sat in silence. I had expected to feel vindication, satisfaction, the taste of just revenge. Instead, I felt the dull, flat weight of utter indifference. She was a consequence of her own choices, and her current misfortune was simply not my problem. A year later, I was in a bustling Portland coffee shop, meeting with a potential supplier about a custom line of ceramic plates. I was waiting for the supplier when a woman at a nearby table caught my eye. She was engrossed in a massive photography book, her hair pulled back, with a focused intensity that reminded me of myself in the kitchen. She wasn't overtly glamorous, but she had an air of quiet authenticity. When our eyes met, she offered a genuine, uncalculated smile. "Is this seat taken?" I asked, my voice surprising me with its lack of sharp edges. No, please. Her name was Alara Vance. She was a photojournalist, recently returned from a long assignment in Southeast Asia. She spoke about light, composition, and truth with a passion that mirrored my own for flavor and craft. We talked for 2 hours about the pursuit of excellence in our respective fields. There were no games, no pretense. On our 4th date, over a quiet dinner at a small trattoria, she asked, "You're a successful man, Raiden. Driven. Are you divorced? Or have you just been lucky enough to avoid marriage so far?" I could have lied, simplified the recipe. But the new man I had built was based on honesty, even when it hurt. I told her the truth. All of it. The 5 years, the engagement, the hotel room, the black lace, the messages, the 3 years I spent rebuilding myself in steel. She listened, her expression thoughtful, not judgmental. When I finished, the silence was comfortable, not accusatory. "Thank you for sharing that," she finally said, her voice steady. "That was incredibly difficult for you to live through, and difficult to tell. You're not horrified by the betrayal. By the betrayal, yes. By her. But that's not your story anymore, Raiden. That's what happened to the man you used to be. The man sitting across from me is different." She reached across the table, her hand resting lightly, honestly, on my own. "You're not harder now. You're just wiser. There's a difference. You didn't stop trusting. You learned who deserved it. That was the key. I had thought the fire had made me impenetrable. Alara saw that it had simply burned away the dross, leaving the pure, valuable metal underneath." 6 months later, Alara moved into my apartment. A year after that, I proposed. It wasn't a grand, cinematic gesture. It was a Tuesday evening, after a long service, as we were sharing a bowl of noodles on the couch. "Marry me," I said. She looked at me, her brown eyes clear and steady. "Are you sure, Raiden? After everything. Especially after everything. Because I know exactly what I'm choosing. I am choosing you every day. I am choosing truth. I am choosing real." She smiled, a slow, genuine smile. "Then I choose you, chef." 2 years later, I was standing at the altar for real. Alara walked down the aisle in a simple, elegant gown that focused all attention on her presence, not the fabric. She was beautiful because she was authentic. No secrets, no lies, no locked phones. My best man, Tyler, leaned over and whispered, "You are perfect, man. You made it." I nodded. I was perfect. The ceremony was simple, our vows honest. When I kissed my wife, I didn't think about ghosts. I thought about the solid, real woman in my arms, and the honest, delicious future we were crafting together. At the reception, my phone buzzed. "Unknown number. I heard you got married. I'm happy for you. I truly am. I hope she knows how lucky she is. I hope you're finally at peace. I'm sorry I couldn't be the woman who gave you that. I'll always love you. A." I showed the message to Alara. Full transparency was our foundation. She read it, then handed the phone back. "Do you want to respond?" she asked. I used to believe closure required a final confrontation, a perfect parting shot. Now, I knew the ultimate closure was silence. "No," I said. "That life is over." I deleted the message, blocked the number, and took my wife's hand. "Dance with me, Alara." As we moved across the floor, I whispered in her ear. I realized something profound. Anya didn't destroy me. She destroyed who I was pretending to be, the naive man who believed love was the only seasoning a life needed. She taught me that trust and truth are the foundations. And I found them with you. 5 years passed. Alara and I built a catering company together that focused on honesty and sustainable sourcing, a quiet, real success. We had a son, Jasper, with Alara's calm eyes and my precise, stubborn focus. We fought sometimes, but they were healthy disagreements about menu pricing or scheduling, never about secrets. One afternoon, Tyler called. "You won't believe it. Anya is engaged. To a rich architect this time. Good guy, apparently. You still feel nothing. I hope she's happy, Tyler. I hope she's learned the recipe for a loyal life. I hope he gets the version of her that's capable of genuine commitment. I don't hate her. The opposite of love is not hate. It is indifference. She is irrelevant." A year later, I was visiting my old city for a culinary convention. Alara, Jasper, and I were enjoying a quiet afternoon in a large, historic park. We were watching Jasper chase pigeons near a fountain, Alara's hand warm in mine. A woman walked past with a little girl who looked about 3. The woman glanced our way, did a slow double take, and stopped dead. Anya. She was older, more worn, the lines of stress etched deeper into her face. The little girl was hers, clearly. We locked eyes. I saw the flash of recognition, the shock, and then the desperate, naked hope that I would give her a sign, an acknowledgement, the conversation she'd craved for years. I smiled. It was the polite, professional smile I gave to a stranger who recognized me from a magazine cover. Then, I turned back to Alara, kissed her temple, and called out to Jasper to watch out for the water. From the corner of my eye, I saw Anya's shoulders deflate. She turned away, leading her daughter in the opposite direction. "Was that her?" Alara asked quietly. "Doesn't matter," I said, watching my son laugh as he tried to catch the birds. "I've never been better. I meant it. The greatest revenge isn't destruction. It's building a life so good, so real, so full of genuine, honest connection that the person who betrayed you becomes utterly, profoundly irrelevant." Anya chose a brief, selfish escape and believed I'd still marry her. She believed love meant I'd accept anything. She was wrong. I vanished from her life, and I built a better one. She lost me. I found myself. And that, the chef's knife in my hand, was the only story that truly mattered.